stores would be located in Orlando, Florida. We will only provide the product to people who show identification to prove that they are over the age of 21. And common customers that show sign of aggression will be restricted of buying our product, as alcoholics can sometimes tend to be aggressive. We don't really want that in our business.
Our competitors are really almost every single alcoholic beverage out there. All the stuff that really just don't taste good and don't get you, doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't give you a refreshing taste like we will.
Nope, does not.
Success factors, we are actually in the tropical areas that grow our food. We are semi-automated. Some of the work is done by hand and some by machines. And we use social media to market our strategies. And then we own everything we have, like our trucks, our land, everything's owned by us.
Some of the issues that they present themselves when trying to run this business is, so some tropical areas where we reside in, they may result in like issues such as like natural disasters. The place where we found our bananas is like Dominican Republic or Peru. Specifically Dominican Republic, since it's in an island region, it might be like more prone to things like hurricanes and such. Other issues that may come out are like a poor like crop season, which will negatively result in the amount of like whiskey that we can produce. Another thing that can get impacted is like international delivery issues, such as like how much cost it is to like import or export such materials to like one place to another might impact like how much revenue we might make. And regulation laws of ingredients and incorporating things such as bananas. Whiskey requires set amount of things such as like different kind of wheats and rice. If there's like a scarcity in one of those products, it might impact how much whiskey we can make, and ultimately negatively impacting how much money we can make like in the long run, due to like lack of these products that are required to make whiskey, like to put into the market.
That is all. Just an overview, we would be based in Florida, Orlando, Florida. Our main distinction from other whiskeys would be the banana flavor. That's why we kind of reside in tropical areas. We sell into tropical areas because that kind of fits with the environment. We do include international sale, as most tropical areas would be overseas, such as like Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, those type of areas. But of course, we also sell in America, but we are international. We own our own trees and land and farmers. We kind of grow our own bananas, so the bananas are fresh, straight out of the ground, or off the trees. So, you know, they're like fresh bananas. Thank you for your time, and are you ready to go bananas?
Yes.
Excellent. Any questions? All right, a couple questions. So you're growing the bananas yourself?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
In order to produce the freshest product, we always buy them right off the tree. That's why we have our own farms instead of, you know, the cost would be much more if we, you know, import so many bananas. That's why we only chose the 2 main locations where they grow bananas, to get the freshest product possible.
Okay, and are you gonna have, so are you just really a supplier, distributor, or are you gonna actually have retail locations?
We would have retail locations. Our main headquarters would be in Florida.
Okay.
We would also have retail in like tropical islands, kind of in the Mediterranean. No.
Like the Caribbean?
Like Caribbean.
Yeah.
Sorry. The Caribbean and even possibly Hawaii, because that's also a good area to grow bananas, and it's an overseas area. The only issue with those is like it does cost a lot to import out to those places from the main area, but most of our farms would be where we are selling, so it wouldn't be too costly.
All right, excellent. Say one thing to consider is, you know, uniqueness, right? So we say, hey, any product or service of value in it is being unique. And so if you are selling something that's based in bananas, sending it over places where they don't get bananas might also be a great benefit, as opposed to being centrally located by places.
Right.
that
Although
have
we do
bananas.
plan to expand. We have about 100 employees already, and most of them are the people that manually make the things. Like you said, we are semi-automatic.
Mhm.
But we do plan to expand in the near future within the next 5 years. But I would say because we're so small, we're able to genuinely the taste. Where it's a tropical flavor, it's bananas.
Mhm.
So we age it for 18 months and then we sell it off. We sell it off into a barrel and then we sell it to the direct distributors. Although we plan to become the main distributors later on.
Sure. Excellent. Excellent, good job, you guys. Any other questions?
Yes?
I get that it's just an idea, so I don't wanna ask like too specific, but I just got like.
Oh no, I planned for all of it, so go ahead and ask.
I just got curious, like, is it gonna be like a flavoring, like a banana flavoring, or is it like you're putting a banana in there and it's like getting the flavor over time?
I mean, think about it like this. I don't know if you're old enough to drink. We have samples later. I'm joking. but think about it like this. It's a tropical flavor. It's a mixture in the mouth, a little sweetness on your tongue, and the burn in the back of your throat. Doesn't that sound a little bit refreshing sometimes? Plus it's made to serve with a slice of banana on the side. So, you know, if you think about it like that, doesn't it sound like good? Don't give it to the kids though. I know it sounds sweet, but don't give it to the kids, please.
I thought of one more possible hurdle.
Try me.
None of you guys are 21, right?
Yeah.
We got one
Try me.
person.
That's what I'm saying. I know the taste. No,
There's someone that, yeah.
I know where I'm the one in charge of most of the tasting and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you
You guys
do
in charge
the
of marketing and stuff like that. So you don't gotta worry about that. Yes?
The part where you guys said that you guys wouldn't sell alcohol to people that are aggressive, how are you guys gonna know who you guys are distributing?
Well, primarily, of course, it would be at the retail stores when you have a customer come up to the table saying, I would like to purchase this. And you kind of would put an ID on them of who they are, if they start acting aggressively, or, you know, like some people will be intoxicated when they come in to purchase more. Those are the kind of ways we would segregate those specific people and not kind of let them back into the stores. And we would kind of ID them and put that out to all stores, not to let the specific person in, because they're known to cause an issue within the store.
I would agree with my counterpart, especially because our stuff, I wouldn't say it's addicting, but it is very flavorful and fruitful. You barely taste any of the alcohol, so you would want more. That's one of the strategies we put in. But we, like our own personal stores, like you mentioned, our own personal stores would recognize who they are immediately. Oh, this person has caused trouble before. Of course, we can't predict who's going to cause trouble, but we can kind of control it a little bit when it comes to that. Any other questions? Yeah. Go on, man.
Just one more, so
Ask as many as you want. I got time.
Georgian bananas is based on like Curious George, right? So do you think there's gonna be a problem with do you think people are gonna be like
Trademark.
like that and like
Or the problem with the
outraged
kids?
that it's like connected an alcoholic drink to like a child's cartoon? Like I just wanna know like how
Actually,
you-
no.
That's a good question.
That's for a joke. We actually named it after him.
Well, that helps. We have someone named George within the group.
Right.
Curious George wouldn't be the main image due to like trademark copyright type issues, but the resemblance to that would kind of be there because I'm sure everyone kind of knows who Curious George is, so that kind of gets the name out there, but it's not the exact same type of invention, I guess you
So
could
like
say.
a parody then.
Right.
It's
So,
a parody.
Yeah,
drug
so
movie.
the reason we could use was George is not because of Curious George, but because of George, our partner. But
Homie.
it kind of gives you kind of a similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question. So, when you guys did your research into the liquor industry,
I love this part.
right? Why is it so difficult to enter that market as a new company or new provider of liquor? You go to the liquor store, you see the same old ones, right? Same old whiskey, same old cognacs, same old this and that. So this can be extremely difficult to break in, but why? Why do you think that's difficult?
It's an addicting product. A lot of people kind of stick with the same stuff because of the same kind of feeling, which alcohol does for most people. People like getting drunk. I can't say why, but
I can say why.
People enjoy what they already know. So
Yeah.
everyone has their own different tastes. Our marketing and commercial would try to get people to like try it or not, and I can't say this, but I assume that
marketing probably is the most challenging for any
Especially in
sort
the
of.
beginning would be the
At the
most important aspect, but once you get people kind of hooked onto your product,
Yeah.
because it is an addicting market, then it's, I feel like then it's more a little free flow, just maximizing on profits in certain ways.
Okay. All right, any more questions? Anyone else?
I had so much fun, come on, nobody.
All right, thank you guys, excellent. Let's give another round of applause.
I wish I had a sample for you.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the semester. Yeah, you gotta find a way how to really market this,
I don't know, I already had a plan for that too, I was like.
it could take off, right? You're located in Orlando, so you figured
The tropical
Disney,
area.
Universal.
That's what I said too, that's what I said, I was like, yeah, these party people at the resort, they're gonna want something flavorful to drink casually or just. But the plan was for that question you said, although Austin said it pretty good, I was also gonna say a strategy afterwards too, like how we'll allow smaller portions of the drink, so people can purchase it as a taste tester. And then once they get hooked on it, you know, the fruitful flavor,
Yeah.
a nice burn, and a nice buzz it gives you.
Yeah.
Then they can buy the bigger bottles.
There you go.
So.
So a lot of that marketing is gonna come at the beginning of giving away free product.
Exactly.
In order to create a buzz. All right, week 7, creating a new
Already?
business. Who's here ready to talk about their new business idea?
Wait, are we talking? Were we supposed to turn that in? I mean, I have mine, but are we supposed to turn that in?
Just a 1-minute speech, right? Anybody got their business ideas you wanna share with the class?
Well, are we talking about the business idea like of our profile for down the road?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or-
I have mine.
Oh, you got yours?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, this is gonna be for your posters. This is gonna be our final project being out there. So anyone has plenty thought into what business they're gonna try to create? Generate? You got yours?
Yeah.
Alright, so get 2 people, anybody else? Alright, so we just need company name, the problem it solves. What are you offering in terms of products and services? Remember we say the main one is those development goals, right? Explain which development goal the business addresses. Here we go, 17 goals. So the link is on there to click for you to see which of the 17 goals that you'll be helping sustain. Right? Remember we said no not-for-profits. So this is a little bit more challenging than trying to do this without having a not-for-profit.
The company itself, though, well, we can have a non-for-profit. Like, remember you said type of charity for on the sideline.
No, not for this.
Not for
Not for
this
this.
one.
This has to be incorporated in the main.
Yeah, this is a for-profit business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't introduce a not-for-profit as a tag along to it, you know what I'm saying? Because the other classes, there's 2 or 3 more classes who'll be out there with you. You know, everybody's kind of doing the same thing. Yeah, but there's some good ones. So we got 2 people that's gonna come up here and tell us what they got so far. Do you got a name?
Yes.
Have you thought about the development goals you hope to
I
sustain?
have for the past 6 years.
Okay.
I haven't come up with a name yet, but I got one.
All right, that's good enough. What happened? You can start off, tell us what you got.
I'm just joking. Hi everybody, I'm here to tell you about New Frontier Entertainment. Yeah, as the name states, I would like to become the New Frontier Entertainment. We have YouTube, of course, we have like all these other platforms. I hate them, I really do. They censor so much good, creative people, I really do. So that's why I wanna make my own business about also, well, it involves private equity as well, and it involves a lot of great gathering of great minds and creativity. Well, usually I would show a slide, but no, I don't have a slide. So basically, what my company does, we want people to be as creative as possible. But that a lot of people, what are a lot of things that people get stuck on? Money, resources, people, manpower. That's what my company will provide for you. So let's say you have a business, something like that. The young lady that sits over here, as an example, I wrote down a couple things that could help her start her own business. She instantly took a picture of it, and now she's off of it. That's the kind of thing I want to do. Not only that, my company would start off with not just doing arts and comic books, but that's our main goal, because I'm a writer. I would like to expand into multiple sections such as podcasting, other platforms. We would make our own website so people could, directly support, the content creators we have. So we would start off on YouTube slowly, and all these other platforms. Of course, we would have social media, but we don't plan on saying that. We plan on doing our own website. Well, all the main content will be for free, but for some private contractors, they would have their stuff on private so they can sell it to people. That's the main thing we want to do. A lot of the times, I see a lot of great talent get skipped over by companies. A lot of, like you have 5 people, you hire 3. What about the other 2? The other 2, they came in second place on that contest. What about those people? Those people will come to me, I would hear their ideas, kind of like a little Shark Tank. Think about it. If you had the chance, like let's say I gave you $10,000 to start your own project, what would you do with that $10,000? Would you keep track of it? Would you spend it? Like what would you do with it? That's what I'm here for. My job, and the main point of the company is for my job is to make sure you are able to concentrate on the creativity. My job is to help you with the business stuff, licensing and stuff like that. And then I would be also the private investor too. That's how we start off. And then we'll do however you guys like to. Because it's always about the money. I know how it is, it's always about the money. But what I really want to do is be able to make sure people can start up their careers, and maybe their own platforms too. Who knows? Who knows where we can go? To be able to make enough to live off of and not rely on some other person but themselves. So my main goal is to make sure I attract a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people want to start careers, modeling, stuff like that. And think about it. You have your own social network available to you completely for free at the start. You need voice actors for a project? Boom, I have some. You need money? I'll find out what I can do. I'll do all these other things to make sure you are successful in your career. Because if you're successful, then I'm successful. You make money, I make money. I don't see why, all these CEOs are saying like, no, fine, bill. I say no. Let's both make money, let's both get rich. Thank you.
All right, great.
Question?
Which one of those would the business incorporate?
Incorporate? I would say it's more like a private advertising and publishing firm. So we wouldn't incorporate, I don't know, I didn't see this, by the way, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, you can take a look and think about it, right? The point is, you get a lot of your idea out.
See, this is why I told you before, like, I don't know what my business would be. Would we be an investment firm? Would we be publishing and advertising? Like, I don't know what we would be, but we would be something that we can get some stuff done and not go around the bucket.
And think, this is our time now for the next, month or so to try to fine tune our ideas. So the ideas right now just maybe completely be all over the place, but we could fine tune them to say.
That's me like 6 years.
Yeah, fine tune to say exactly how's it gonna fit in these goals, right? And how's it gonna make money? But yeah, excellent, good job.
Question?
Any other
Yeah,
questions?
go ahead.
So is it just a startup business for other people, or is it also its personal growth business?
Close. Think about it like this. I'm like the little platform you sell. So basically, I would boost you up as much as I possibly can. Like I said, as long as you make money, I make money too. So I don't really care about the money. I want to see what can we build together. That's the thing I want to look at. So example, you say you want to do a real estate thing, right? Where would you get the money from? Let's say they don't think it's worth it. I would say otherwise. I would say
like a private investor.
Exactly. I would be that too. Like I said, so like I'll give you. Let's say I have $500,000. I'll give you half of that to get started, and I see this thing. I give you the other half, and then I take 25% over the next 10 years. So like we would work something out, of course. Like I'll be genuine, but I always say we always go back to the money. Another person approached me for a comic business. That's why I said like comic business. So that's why I have multiple artists now. We're gonna do a story that I wrote years ago, and we're gonna do it. I already have voice actors lined up. I'm getting ready to pay them too. A lot of things like that. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. But but like I said, a lot of different things because people skip over so much talent. There's so much money to be made out there, and that's why a lot of these corporations are profiting off that. YouTube, Google, Facebook. I know like they're all the same shit, but think about it. I'm sorry, Professor, but it's true. I say like there's so much money out there, they just don't want to spend it on people because they don't want to give a chance. I was skipped over a lot of times for a lot of different business opportunities, and the reason why is because they think I'm not good enough. A lot of them because I have disabilities. A lot of people said, I don't think you'll be adequate, or do you know that word, adequate or something like that? Adequate for this business proposal because we can't provide transportation for you. I just told him, I just need a ride and I can start Monday,
Yeah.
because I don't have a ride. I was like, no, that wouldn't be me. My job is to make sure everybody, including people with disabilities, have a chance to make a living, no matter what they do. And if for some odd reason I can't help you or I can't put you in contact with somebody else, then I'll do what I can to make sure you get in contact with the other right people. So it's all about connections and all about building a platform where we all be successful, not just me.
Excellent. Speaking about that, let me see if I can see something up here that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Alright,
I
so
know
here's
3
number
guys who
10.
own bars and they're
Here's
blind.
number 10. Think about that. Reduce inequalities. Right? Reduce inequalities.
It's for the charity goal, right?
Hmm?
The way this is for the charity goal?
No, this is for your for-profit.
There we go. I'll do
So,
that.
you know,
I don't
when
know
you think
what,
of
but-
that, reduce inequalities.
Exactly.
Excellent. Few things to consider, right, as you're writing this along. Alright, you're providing money where you get the money from, so think about that, right?
Yep.
Alright, you sound more like a crowdsourcing, like, hey, I wanna get a bunch of creatives together and with this excellent idea, maybe other people can also contribute too, right?
Yeah, that's the point of
Yeah.
networking, the connections.
Yeah, so
And
like,
as for the startup earlier, like you said, I would start up slow with the graphics company I just told you about.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a small store and see if we can make some money off that, and then we'll start slowly from there.
excellent. Yeah, so we'll talk more about this, all of these ideas as, the semester goes on. You wanna come up here and tell us about yours?
Yeah, it only has to be 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mine didn't
No,
go really for
yeah.
a minute.
We got
No,
time.
yours was really good.
Yeah, the whole idea of all of this is to hear each other so that we can be better, right? And get ideas and share from one another. So that's, you know, this whole part of us come talking.
So hello, I'm Manny Abreu, and the company that I'd like to present to you today, name's still being workshopped, but right now placeholder name is the Florence Foundation. So the problem I seek to solve is that a lot of medical issues and hospitals, of course, here in America, we have a lot of science-based healing services, and those are very important, and those are, of course, the most important, but we often neglect faith-based healing, community-based healing, because it's not just the body that needs to be repaired, it's also the mind. It's like people said, you need to have the will to recover and survive to truly heal after injury. So what I plan to do is train up professionals who specialize in providing caretaking services for people who have been injured, either in traumatic situations or physically injured, that to help them engage in their cultures, provide food, like with how they grew up, not just generic hospital food, engage in traditions that may have died out in favor of more scientific methods of healing. And of course, this is not to replace scientific healing, it's just to work alongside it. And also provide language services and just make patients as comfortable as they can. And I hope to ensure the health and well-being of everyone, including some of the disenfranchised folk of the world and minorities who feel like the systems have failed them in the past. Thank you.
All right, excellent. I don't know if we really need ideas since it's such a fresh, need any questions, but did anybody have any questions?
I would say,
Okay.
have you considered taking inspiration from the website, nursing home? No, it's not like nursing home, it's like one of those big awful ones. It's like a private nurse that comes to your house and personally takes care of your own care. No matter what the doctor says, the nurse will always listen to you and what they say. Maybe you should look into that. It could be another part that you look into.
This idea was inspired by Indian reservations around America who have faith-based healers to help get the community together and support people who've been injured or suffered from traumatic events. I thought that was a valuable innovation that could be spread elsewhere, including cities.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great inspiration. Yeah, that part, like you're saying, helping Native American reservations, people
Mhm.
on those, it's also something to consider if you want to fine tune it a little bit too. You know, make it specific to a specific group.
Yeah, that's what I'll have to research more because it's directly inspired by a reservation.
Yeah.
Do reservations still exist? I never really asked that. They
Of course.
do.
Yeah.
Reservations take up a lot of land, probably the size of a few states. Excellent. And the fact that you were able to find out health and well-being is, you know, you did that pretty quick. That's good. So this is all good for us to have comments too, to help everybody think more about like, hey, I didn't think about that, right? So when we all come make our speeches, if you see something that you have a great idea to add to that person, do so, right? This is all about sharing ideas. So yeah, Thursday I want everybody to come up here with make a 1 minute speech, all right? So have your stuff ready for your 1 minute speech, Thursday. All right, let's go through them real quick, just so we have an idea. No poverty, right? You can say, well, that's a lofty goal, that seems impossible. That's beside the point. Beside the point is create a company that maybe provides food in some way or provide food at a low cost, right? So that could be no poverty, something that helps alleviate it, right? Zero hunger, kind of the same thing. Good health and well-being, like Manny's company. Quality education, something where you inform people. Gender equality, clean water and sanitation, providing good water, so someone could start a bottling company or water distributor. Affordable and clean energy, so we say someone could start wind farms or some sort of company that helps generate more clean energy, electric cars, hydrogen fueled vehicles, etc. Urgent, well, what does it say? Decent work and economic growth. Now that could potentially fall into yours too. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reducing inequalities, sustainable, sustainable cities and communities, so helping underprivileged individuals, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, so something dealing with the marine life or oceans, life on land, so that could be something agricultural, peace, justice, and strong institutions, something that's governmental, and partnerships for the goals, right? That last one's pretty interesting. You could just create some sort of platform that's a partnership to help all type of communities come together for these goals.
Wouldn't that sound like a charity? That sounds like one of the charities I wanted to run.
Yeah, and well, this is the challenge. This all sounds like charities, right? First thing we hear all this stuff, you're thinking of a not-for-profit, but the challenge is to create a business that actually makes money, right? So you're trying to do a good thing, but you also want it to make money, right? You're not taking donations from individuals. You actually have to create a real product or a service. I was thinking about your whiskey company, and I was gonna say, what's kind of the big sort of marketing ploy they use for people to buy either alcohol or water? Like, what makes a bottle of water different from the next when you go to 7-Eleven or Jewel or wherever? Yeah, labeling is definitely one of them, right? And what else?
Taste.
Hmm?
Taste.
Somewhat.
You'd be surprised. I've had lots of water bottles from a lot of different
That's-
places.
Is it like the type of bottle? Like the shape of the bottle?
It's the shape, right? Think about that. Right? So you say, hey, I mean, but it's the labeling too, especially when it comes to alcohol, right? People are gonna buy smart water because it's elongated, it looks like a cylinder, it's really nice looking, right? as opposed to just this. You buy this because it's cheap. So first you think, I don't want to spend that much money on water, so you buy this, right? You buy smart water, there's something else, and you feel, oh, I got that good water. You display it and show it.
I think Fiji's been the most successful bottle of water.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Theirs is more like rectangular shaped or whatever. The same goes with wine, right? You like wine as wine when you go through the aisles and look at it. The only thing that stops you is the label, right? Or maybe the unique decorations on the wine that look super fancy. So that's something also to consider too. Have the best design. Okay, are we good with this for Thursday? Okay, sounds good. All right, let's finish. Where are we at right now?
How many weeks of class do we have?
Well, we're week 7, and we have 16 weeks. We got 15, and then at 16th we'll be out there presenting.
Oh, we decided which project.
Yeah, when do we do that? When do we decide which ones we're specifically using for out there?
That one's coming up, so.
Because after we pick them, then we all fine tune them all together as a group and then.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna select amongst, individually select, and select what's the best ones. So the whole point is to try to come up here and have an excellent idea, so yours is chosen to be part of it.
Anonymous voting type of thing.
Yeah, we'll make the voting interesting. That way it will be unbiased. Like we'll just, everybody write it down, pick from a hat or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So after everyone makes it Thursday, let's say maybe by next Thursday we'll select the following Thursday, right? Just in case Tuesday people don't show up, or Thursday people don't show up or something. All right, small business and economic rocket ship. So raise your hands if you plan on being an entrepreneur. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it? Everybody else just plans on getting a job when they get out? Nobody else wants to start a business?
So like
I wanna get out and start getting set up later.
Raise your hands if you've already have an idea exactly what you want to do. I know both of you guys' ideas already.
I think mine was pretty clear.
Yeah, I know. We've had a few discussions. Who else? Who over here? Ideas? Know exactly what it is you want to do? No? All right, becoming a small business owner or doing entrepreneurship is one of the hardest things. Because if you're successful, you won the game, right? You won. You can hire people, you contribute to the economy, you can retire early, you can make a huge, huge impact on your entire generation, your entire family. You can set everybody up. So it's extremely difficult. It's not something everybody can do, right? Because we say, what's the key challenge to being an entrepreneur is being an excellent leader. What does it take to be an excellent leader? The person is always forward-minded. You always know exactly what your competitors are doing. Watching the trends, you adapt to the trends, you don't stay doing the same old stuff, you get left behind. And that requires some natural skills, right? Either you got it or you don't, or it requires some sort of skills you get along the way. So it's extremely difficult, but very beneficial. So I would say highly consider this. Starting a business to me is one of the greatest things ever because you won't realize the difference in what you could do with a business as opposed to just being an individual working, right? You'll never get rich working for somebody else. Ever. So maybe 0.0001%. Somebody having get a VP job making $300,000 a year, right? Very small. You'll you'll never get rich working for anyone else, right? Let's just pretty much put that out there. But you'll have exponential growth if you could create a successful company. You'll make a huge impact. Okay, some of the things we're gonna learn: explain the key reasons to launch a small business, describe the typical entrepreneurial mindset and characteristics, discuss funding options, right? Entrepreneurial minds. When I was like an undergrad, I wrote a business plan to start what's now like Uber, right? And I was like, first I'll start off with the universities. I was a college student. I was like, man, people need rides and all this stuff. I wrote this business plan, I'm like, this is gonna be phenomenal. I wrote it for cars and I wrote it for bikes, right? And I couldn't get the money for it, right? I couldn't get a team to give me the type of money that was required to start, because this was a highly big investment, right? Initial capital you need to start it, because it's basically the platform. How do you start this immense platform for everybody to navigate, just like Uber does. Anyway, they get the money, and then like 3 years later, Uber started happening, and then a couple years later, Lyft started happening, and look where they are now, right? So the point is, if I didn't even have that mindset, that wouldn't have allowed me to say, wow, there's some big people out there that actually think like I do, right? That actually like, wow, they actually think like I do. It's could have been me. I could have had a, $1 trillion company or something like that. So I moved on from there and I did other things, right? But the point was to have a sort of mindset for great ideas and believe, in spite of what anybody says, believe in what it is you're going to be doing. There's a lot of people who will say that's a crappy idea, that's a stupid idea, whatever. Right? You don't listen.
I've been for 6 years.
Yeah, you don't listen to people. That's not how it works, right? Good leader listens, takes advice, but ultimately listens to themselves. All right, here they're just showing some ride sharing, driver sharing sites, and some new technology things. Reasons to launch a small business, financial success. Now, it rarely happens, right, that people experience extreme financial success, because you take on a lot of debt, you're trying to crack the code when you start a small business. And like I said before, there's a lot of businesses. You drive down Harlem, you drive down First Avenue, Fifth, wherever you go, you're like, yeah, but these are all businesses. They make revenue. They're open for business. They make money. I don't know if they make profit, right? So that's a total difference. You got enough money to pay the people to work there, you got enough money to pay the insurance, the bills, all these things, but maybe you're not making a profit. So how do you make a profit? You say, great leadership. Somebody got the same old store on the corner from like 20 years ago, haven't changed anything, and they wonder why I go out of business. You have to be forward thinking. You have to be growing, right? Constantly growing and changing and adapting. It never stops. All right, independence. You don't want to have a boss. When I was like a junior in college, I had an internship with a company called the Blackstone Group, one of the largest companies in the world. And I was like, man, I want to just get a full-time job here. And I had an office downtown, Michigan Avenue, Wacker, overlooking the river, all this different stuff. And I got the full-time job. Everything was cool. Like, this is it. About a year later, I was like, this sucks. Because micromanaged, it's just the typical corporate politics. The things in your mind never live up to reality, right? The impressions in our mind always look phenomenal, but in reality, they never ever match up, right? So consider that. Thus, if you do not like having people tell you what to do all the time, working for somebody might not be the best. You might come up with all sorts of problems and change jobs all the time. But if you start your own business, you say, I have a project and my ultimate goal is to get my true independence, right? I want to be in a position where I don't have to listen to anybody. Right? Flexibility. If done correctly. When I first started, I was doing most of the stuff myself with my business. Guess what? I had to learn quickly that was not the way to do it. You hire people smarter than you. right? Do not have an ego thinking you're the smartest person on earth. No, you hire people who are better than you at certain things, certain tasks, that are creative, good work ethic, right? So when I started hiring people, there were people who came to me, that was like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, they were geniuses. I don't wanna hire any geniuses, too complicated. I don't want the smartest person. I want somebody who's reasonably educated, common sense, works hard, and able to solve problems, right? Being a genius means you're a little too complicated. Right, the most successful people in the world are C students, not A students. The richest people are C students, right? A students spend way too much time studying without actually thinking about other things in life. By the time they get out, they realize there's a lot more other things in life than just studying. But flexibility is key. So if done correctly, you can have a lot of time to yourself. So I travel all over the world, sometimes just bring my laptop, and I tell my executive vice president, don't call me unless you absolutely need to call me. So I really don't do any work, right? But long ago, I positioned myself to think like, I wanna be in a position where others do the work for me. Only call me if there's substantial major issues that I need to know about, which provides flexibility, right? You don't always have to be 9 to 5 or whatever.
Do you still check in every once in a while?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah, I mean, I still keep tabs and stuff like that. But the point is, I don't have to keep tabs the way I used to when I first started. You know, because things become your baby. You say, this is my company, this is my baby. And you just become overbearing with it. You realize it's not the best. But you learn over time. You get older, you get wiser. And then you start to let others control it for you, right? The point is to train people to think like you. So I got a bunch of people that think like Professor Ross. I don't have to just be me.
You hire a babysitter.
Yeah.
You hire a babysitter.
Yeah, basically, that's a good. Challenge, extremely difficult. This is not easy. Yeah, the ideas are wonderful, excellent ideas. But how many people get wonderful ideas, they can't get the money to start, right? So it's extremely difficult in order to raise money to start your ideas. Maybe you don't have perfect banks. You're like, well, how do I go to the bank and get a bank loan, right, to start this idea? Challenges is just like, you know, people struggling to understand you know as you go, right? Nobody wakes up and knows all this stuff. That's not how it works, right? So if you're feeling like, hey, I don't know anything, so I feel insecure about this business stuff, you're not the only person, right? Don't let the people fool you. That's what we got lawyers for. Lawyers know law, marketing people know marketing, they know nothing about finance. Finance people know nothing about marketing, right? Human resources know nothing about what's actually going on for things being sold. So don't feel insecure about like, I don't know a certain thing or task, right? That's what you hire people for. And even if you did know, you wanna hire people for it because you don't wanna be bothered with that, right? And what does that do? That makes your company grow faster, right? The more people you have that are good at what they do makes more money. But it's definitely a challenge. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving parts. And then survival. How do you survive? When we say, hey, Professor Ross, I make money. Great. Do you make profit? Like, I make revenue. Do you make net income, which is profit? Like, no, I haven't made profit in 3-4 years, right? On average, it takes about 2 years for a small business, if done properly, about 2 years before you break even. So like, expect to go into business without making a profit within the first 2 years. Most restaurants never make a profit. So you go to all these restaurants and be like, why do they open and close, new ones pop up? Restaurants don't make money, you know, like that. Very rare, you know, unless you got the McDonald's formula, unless you got the Burger King formula, right? We just sell food quick and get you out of here. We're not trying to have you live here. But, so it's hard to survive. People are competing. Your competitors may have more money than you do, more access to capital than you do, more staff, more people, human capital as they call it, than you do. They have to constantly adapt and change. You have to try to survive. Which is the greatest part of understanding business is knowing that you have a pie and then how do you divide it? So you say, Professor Ross, we have the same amount of people and money that we had 2 years ago. Can we grow? Absolutely. Are you dividing the pie? All that means, are you using what you get and doing it more creatively? Right? One of my other classes I teach, we talk about how, Netflix got like 3 or 4 different categories of subscription now, right? Maybe Hulu, and then a few of you people talk about Disney. The point is, Disney just used the same old stuff and created new things from the same old stuff. Took the pie and they divided it. So, okay, well, instead of 1 subscription, we have 4 different subscriptions, right? For people that only want to watch this or watch that. So you have to be extremely forward-thinking. Which this chapter calls the necessity entrepreneur. Sometimes you may not have a choice but to go out on your own, right? Depending on your circumstances. All right, the attitude to change the world through goods or services. If you say, I want to make a ton of money, you failed already. Your idea is not going to work. You say, I'm going to business and make a ton of money, it failed. Why? The only thing you could be concerned about is, are people going to buy it? Right? That's it. If your focus is on just the product or the service you provide and to make more people want it, you win, right? You win. If you say, I'm in this for a ton of money, you lose. That's not the mindset that the people who are at the top successful, they don't have that. Yes, they're wealthy now. They're only wealthy because it's just a byproduct of them having a great idea and them making sure that it worked for the consumer, right? And they kept improving the ideas. But an attitude to change the world through goods and services. Now, nowhere here does it say anything about money, right? Characteristics, vision. You have to have a vision about what it is you want to do. Don't make up things you're not passionate about, right? If you're not passionate about it, it could be highly doomed to fail. Yes?
When you started your own kind of real estate business, were you focused on owning land or like providing homes for people? What was your kind of attitude towards starting?
Mine was to provide, my honest vision was to provide an excellent place for people to stay, right? I was like, man, I know what it's like to stay. It must have been a timer. I know what it's like to stay in a phenomenal, say, apartment, right? Or something of the sort. I know what it's like to have something that just feels nice, feels kind of luxurious. It makes you feel good. So I wanted people to have the same feeling when I started going out and experiencing this stuff. You know what it's like to buy a nice pair of shoes. It's beyond what it costs you. It's about how that thing makes you feel, right? You know what it's like to stay in a nice Airbnb, right? This is awesome. You feel satisfied. So that's what I wanted people to feel the way I do. And so kind of anything I take on now, I want people to feel the way I do. Kind of my world, right? Kind of like, hey,
I definitely want to know that.
Yeah, like I want people to kind of see the world or feel the way that I experience it, because then that's my passion, right? So to have vision and to have passion about what you do. Self-reliance, yeah, you're gonna hire people, but at the beginning, you're gonna be doing a lot of the stuff, right? You gotta have the principles, right? You gotta be able to build the foundation yourself. Then you can get others to start building the house. You gotta have the energy, requires a lot of energy. You never stop thinking about, what's going on with your business, how you can improve your competition, right?
Flashlight turned off.
And confidence. I said this one's big. This is big. Some people have a wonderful idea, but they're not confident. Confidence is absolute, right? Confidence says no matter what people tell me, because everybody's gonna always tell you something, that's just an opinion. But if you have self-doubt, if you doubt yourself, doomed for failure, right? So no matter what your idea is, you have to believe it, which means you have to have the confidence in yourself that you can make it happen. So when you come up and talk, have confidence. When you go out there and present your poster, have confidence about what you're saying. Because if you don't have confidence, what happens? You know, it's not gonna benefit anybody whatsoever. And a tolerance of uncertainty and failure. Expect things to go bad. Okay? If you're not good with the risk, it's gonna be extremely difficult. If you come into it with a negative mindset, you're like, oh man, this could fail. You failed already, right? But know that there's risk. Like, yeah, I can absolutely make this happen, but there'll be some challenges, right? And things can fail, but that's just part of it. Right? Entrepreneurship, sometimes it takes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 businesses before somebody's like, I finally got it right, right? That's just my 10th business or project I'm working on. I finally got it, I got the formula. That's what it's about. I know a lot of people, even in my field, that, you know, this is the 10th go around, you know? They failed a lot of businesses. They maybe started like clothing businesses, restaurant businesses before this, import, export, all types of stuff. And it doesn't work out. But now they finally figured out their formula, and now they're doing what they need to do. And before we go, what time is it? 43? Okay. Do the action. Put your hand on your head, cross your hands over your chest, cross your legs, look at an object, and close one eye. I'm not sure what they're trying to get at. Okay. Locus of control, right? Deep-seated sense that an individual is personally responsible for what happens in his or her life. This is extremely important. I'll end off with this. You are only in control of what you're in control of. Things that happen outside of your control, for you to worry about them, think about them, ponder on them, let your mind escape, it's a foolish game, right? A wise person only is concerned with what they are in control of. They're not thinking about other people like that, because they're not in control of other human beings. They're only in control of what you can do, right? So that's extremely important, and that should help build sort of more confidence in anything you're trying to achieve in life. It's not being concerned about others or other objects or other things. Because it's foolish. Absolutely no value. Only be concerned with what you're in control of. All right, we'll finish this up on Thursday. Any questions before we go? Oh, yes.
For the 1 minute thing, there's no slideshow, right? It's just talking about.
Yeah, just come and talk. Yeah, just come and talk.
I wanted to show my slideshow, but I haven't had a minute. So I had to scramble all my words together.
That was good then.
Thank you.
All right, see you Thursday.